Welcome back to NM Classroom. So here let us begin. So the first element is why we should manage workplace health and safety. Since the subject title is management of health and safety, there are basically 4 elements. So that here we deal with the first element, first unit. So it is none other than morals and money. The first unit is called morals and money. So before we begin, basically we have to understand some concept and some definition and some keywords. So let us have an introduction to some keywords. See, first of all, we should know that what the title means by health. You just think about what is meant by health. When do we say that we are healthy? Yes, obviously we could say that when we don't have any kind of diseases or illness, you could say that we are so healthy and we are so powerful, so fit, like in our body language and everything would speak that we are healthy. But at the same time, health can be classified as 2 types. It's none other than the first one is physical health and second health is called psychological health. When a person who inhaled asbestos dust and frequently the inhalation caused to lung cancer after 10 and 15 years, we could say that that is the ill health from the workplace. So that can be called an example, good example for physical health. And coming back to the psychological health, the body checkup and everything, blood and all contents in the human body is normal, but since he is not healthy because he feels kind of depression or anxiety or tension or sleepless, and all these will affect his psychological health. Obviously that also connected to his body. So health can be called as physical health as well as psychological health. In short, we could say that the absence of disease called health. Hey friend, don't worry, you don't need to by heart or just mug up any kind of definitions. No, the exam pattern is completely different. First of all, we just have some idea about all these definitions. That is enough. Then let's go to the second definition of the keyword. What could be mean by safety? When do we say that you are safe? Yes, of course, when I having any kind of absence of risk of any serious personal injuries. See, if I am safe in the workplace, that if I am walking under a load suspended crane without wearing hard hat, am I safe or not? Obviously not. So that can be called as that a lack of safety. So then moving to the next point is called welfare. In health and safety environment, you would be witnessing welfare facilities. As a safety manager, you should seek what about the welfare facilities of the organization. So what is meant by welfare? Simply we could say drinking water, toilet, sanitary conveniences, a restroom, dining and first aid, and all these facilities can be called as the basic welfare facilities. So surely all the organizations should have these kind of welfare facilities. And moving to the next term is called environmental protection. You know, our title is HSE officer, health, safety, environment. So environment means the prevention of damage to the surroundings. It can be air, it can be water, it can be other kind of different kinds of environments in the workplace. It would be an external environment, right? But coming back to the workplace, of course, the lighting of the particular area, ventilation, temperature, humidity, hot or cold environment, spaces of floor, all this can be called as the internal environment of a workplace. So we should be well care about the environment where we belong to. Clear? Yes. Then the next point, the most frequently we tend to hear in our learning program is accident. Oh, do we need to learn about accident? Of course, that is our duty, right? So if we define accident, of course it's an unplanned event. It's a very accidental and unplanned, unwanted event which leads to any kind of damage, injury, loss, death, and anything, any bad thing can happen. But it is unintentional. If it is intentionally, we would not say that it's an accident. It can be called as a murder, right? So accident is an unplanned, unwanted event which turns to injury or damage or loss, right? So there are some steps just before accidents. You're gonna say, oh, by luck, oh my God, just a fraction of a second I saved my life, or I had a narrow escape. These all narrow escapes can be called as near miss. Suppose that you are riding in bike and you just cut off a big lorry, but from the fraction of a second you just turn away and you got your life back. This is called near miss. So near miss can be called as any unplanned, unwanted event which had the potential to cause damage or injury, but in fact didn't happen. Just missed. Okay, so the near miss increases, obviously the chance of accident would also increase. You got the point? Yeah. Then if so, then we move on to the next key term is called dangerous occurrence. Any kind of occurrences in the workplace that can be reported to relevant authority. It can be an internal team of the management, and also that has to be reported to the statutory of law, right? We have to notify this event into the legal enforcement team or insurance companies or public advisors. So all these events can be called dangerous occurrences. You got it? If so, then we move on. The most vital aspect, the term is called hazard. What do you mean by hazard? Of course, throughout the program, no. Throughout your life, if you are a safety professional, definitely you will be getting in touch with hazard all the time. So hazard means if anything that has the potential to cause harm to you, that can be called hazard. Something that the potential to cause harm is called hazard. So hazard can be work at height is a hazard, electricity is a hazard, and any kind of workplace which had the potential to cause harm can be called as hazard. But at the same time, there is a clear distinction between risk. We of course tend to believe that hazard and risk are same. No, not at all. Hazard and risk are simply different. Risk is that the chance. Risk is always the likelihood. It is just a chance. What chance? That the hazard cause harm in combination with the severity of injury, damage or loss. That is called risk. I'll tell you by an example. Work at height is a hazard, but risk of falling from the height and chance of getting injury is called the risk from work at height. Okay, electricity is a hazard, but chance of getting electric shock and getting burned into the body is called the risk. Hope the concept is clear. So dear friend, it is very just simple, and you don't need to by heart any of these key points. Just keep in mind all these points, that health can be called, okay, absence of diseases, safety is that, welfare is that, environmental protection, accident, near miss, hazard, risk and dangerous occurrence. We might be frequently using all these words, so that by that time you should have this kind of an idea about all these terms. Okay, so we move on to the first unit. Okay, let us move on to the first unit. It is none other than morals and money. Morals and money. When someone asks you why we should manage workplace health and safety, it's the most fundamental question, right? See, we have to think this subject in complete practical and comprehensive way. Of course, we know why an organization manage customer relationship desk point, why an organization manage financial system, why they manage HR and marketing and production and manufacturing system. Of course, and we have the answers. But at the same time, an interviewer asks you that why we should manage workplace health and safety. What would be our answer? See, according to the global statistics by International Labour Organization published, 270 million occupational accidents every year and 160 million occupational disease also happening in all the year, and 2 million people died in all the year because of workplace accidents, and 4% of the national gross domestic product is lost by accidents. 3.5 lakh occupational fatalities and accidents. In short, all these figures clearly mention us that the absence of safety and health would eventually impact the life of a person, right? On this light, it shed the light to some crucial points. What are those crucial points? That is what this unit discusses. If someone asks you or in the question paper in a scenario just discussing that, we should answer that we manage workplace health and safety because of the 3 reasons, right? The first reason can be called moral reason, humanitarian reason, and the second reason called financial reason. It can be business reason or economic reason or monetary money reasons, and the third reason is called legal reason. That means a statutory reasons, isn't it? So that out of these 3 reasons, we have to frame our answer in our concept. See, according to the moral reason, we know that what can be called as a morale of a person. We would often say that, okay, if there is a beggar in front of you and who didn't have food for the last 10 days, of course that we have a conscience, right? Our moral side awakens because it's an humanitarian. It is the fundamental thing that we have to do. The right thing to do is called moral, isn't it? So it is the fundamental right of any worker in the workplace. As long as he is in the workplace, he must be well, safe and healthy. He shouldn't have any accident. See, the person who comes from his home, from their family, and when they get back to the home, when he is not health and safe, of course that is only because of the organization. So we'll have to take the responsibility of that, isn't it? So my dear friend, we are thinking this concept in an organizational employer approach. So we could say that people killed, injured, suffer diseases when health and safety system is not properly managed in the organization. So what would happen? Of course, that when an accident occurs, that creates a massive impact not only to the employee, not only to the casualty or injured worker, but also to his family, dependents, friends, relatives, and above all to the society, isn't it? So from a legal point of view, we could say that we could give compensation. What is the problem? No. Can you get back or give back a life to even for a bee? No. Then how could you replace a life, human life? So compensation is not a complete remedial price for a human life. According to these slides, we can say, we definitely firmly assure, is the whole society considered. See, we know an employer, what an employer is doing and what an employee is doing. Employer want to make the profit by the effort, good effort of the employee, isn't it? For which employee earns his livelihood. So, as long as employee is under the custodian of the employer, it is the employer responsibility to take care of employees' health and safety, isn't it? Suppose you have a small kid, okay, who starts going school. So just 5 or 7, 6 years old, and he goes to the school bus. And when you drop him to the nearby the school bus and till he comes back, whose responsibility is your kid? Of course, it is not you. It is by the school management. and the transportation, school transportation management, and the school also. If the child is missing, then who you would blame? Of course, the school management. The same like an employee works from, suppose he starts working from morning till night, morning till evening, as long as he is under the custodian of the employer, it is the responsibility of the employer, isn't it? So this is quite simple, that we should have a conscience, we should have a morale, we should, do you know why I keep my palm towards to my chest? Yeah, we should have this heartful approach in order to maintain good standard of health and safety in the workplace of the workers. So as long as the whole society considers, if an organization not follow health and safety in a moral way, definitely society starts behaving the employer against an immoral way. So in short, you don't need to by heart and mug up all this point, but you should have a comprehension when I'm telling you that morale means it is the right thing to do. It comes from our heart. It comes from our heart. Yes, this is what I should do. So as long as the moral reason, you just say, you just wave your hands that when you are passing by your bike, when a car, the door is not fully locked, of course you will wave your hand and you will give some indication, isn't it? Of course. Why you do that? It is that our humanitarian, that is why we became human being, and for which our caste, creed, religion or place or nationality is not a matter. So moral reason, in a sense, it is the fundamental right of the employee, and it is the right thing to do by the employer. That's all, my dear friend. So that first reason is called moral reason. I hope you understand the concept. I'm really longing to get this concept. Nothing more than that. Suppose in our examination point of view, when I'm talking about examination scenario based, they will be given a scenario very clearly, and when you read out this scenario, they may have a question that comment on the moral effectiveness of this scenario organization. What could you write? Do you write all the points from the textbook? Then you won't get any points. Would you just copy and paste all the points? Then no way. Plagiarism, malpractice. No. We should understand what is meant by moral. Now we understood. Based on this understanding, we search in the scenario completely. We seek for the answer from the scenario. Out of the scenario, when we read out the scenario, we come to know that the scenario does not reflect good standards of health and safety. If you find this, of course, you will notify all the negative points. And all these negative points when you write based on moral point of view. So that is what is your answer. For the scenario discussion, of course, that in our next classes we will be discussing later. So the first point, why an organization manage good standards of health and safety is none other than because of we all are a human being, right? That is called moral reason. You got the point. But of course that organization still can argue with you or blame against you, or they can raise their concerns against you, that they could say that, oh, we are not running charity organization. Yeah, that means in order to maintain good standards of health and safety, we put more money, we put more investment towards safety, and we have to appoint the safety officers, and we should have more resources for safety, and that will getting delayed our work and production. So it will definitely affect the profitability of the organization. That is the next claim from the side of employer. So how would you answer in a financial term? The first term is called the moral term. The second term is money reason. See, you could answer that it will affect the profitability of the organization. If the proper health and safety system is not managed by organization, damn sure there is no doubt, unless otherwise, it will affect the profitability of the organization. Of course, they will be under doubt. Oh, if we cut off all the costs and expenditures under safety, then we could improve the profit. Then how the profit will be getting lost? You could answer that an accident. What is meant by accident? Accident called as an unplanned, unwanted event which leads to injury, damage or loss. If an accident occurred in the workplace, do you know what are the whereabouts behind? Many things to be. It is beyond our expectations, isn't it? When an accident occurs, actually in terms of money, what is happening? In terms of money, it is a cost, isn't it? Accident is cost. Oh, accident is cost. How the accident is a cost? Accident is accident, but how it comes to cost? We know that cost can be called as an enemy of the profit, right? Cost is the opposite of the profit. So when accident is a cost, of course it will affect the financial arguments of the organization, isn't it? So how the accident comes to cost? Suppose an accident occurred, okay, workplace, a worker get injured from the work at height. So what happened? They will have two kind of cost. The first cost called direct cost and second cost called indirect cost. And the cost also called insured loss and uninsured loss. And there are many ways. Direct cost we could measure and quantify from the scenario itself. But indirect cost is the consequences of the direct cost and accident. We cannot measure it. We cannot quantify it, or it's very difficult to quantify. So I would say some examples. So providing the first aid to the injured person is a direct cost or indirect cost. Can you measure it or not? Of course you can measure and it is accountable, right? Okay, you just repairing the equipment, the damaged equipment. Can you measure it? Of course you can measure it. But can you measure when you lose your goodwill and reputation of the company only because of this accident? Can you measure the ripples of this event? No, never. It will create the long-lasting impact to the organization, isn't it? It will lose your industrial relationship and customer relationship. It will totally eventually affect your business reputation. These all costs can be called indirect cost. So I would notify some direct cost and indirect costs. It's directly in the textbook you could see that. The first aid cost, overtime cost, repairs, rehabilitation cost, and retraining, that rehabilitation cost, production delay time cost, sick pay, fines in the criminal court. This all can be listed in direct cost. But followed by an accident, they will have accident investigation. This cost cannot be measured because we don't know which time that investigators will come and how much operations they will start to shut. No, we don't know. And the role of the enforcement team. The enforcement team comes to the organization and doing some enforcement actions that we don't know that what kind of enforcement actions may be taken against us. With that we don't know. Clearly it's very difficult to mention, isn't it? And as I said that the cost of additional control measures that you cannot measure, and you cannot measure that the reputation, you cannot measure the losing of customer relationship and public image, and all these costs that we cannot measure, my dear friend. So followed by an accident, actually accident creates what? Cost. Cost directly affecting the profitability of the business, profitability of the organization. That is what we say that we should manage workplace health and safety in the workplace. You got it? If there is no safety, suppose that a worker just died, then maybe you will have to 4 million. You'll have to pay to just this labor cost as a compensation, and the story wouldn't end. The enforcement team will come and seal your organization, and your organization will go down into the blacklist, and you will lose all the certifications from the membership body like ISO and ILO. Then the customers and clients and contractors wouldn't be attracted. So only because of a single accident. So rather, if you put in place good standards of health and safety, the accidents will be reduced, isn't it? When the accident reduced, that all the safety cultures will be improved, and you will be creating a benchmarking industry in the organization. So you could answer like that. And the third point, the last point, why we manage workplace health and safety. We know that why we manage HR team, Why we manage marketing team? We know that creating business, isn't it? Why we manage that cost accountant? Of course, reducing the cost. Why we manage health and safety? Because of moral reason, financial reason. And the last reason is called, the most important reason is legal reason. Even the organization doesn't want to imply any kind of safety measures, they cannot work in the industry like that. Because every organization in the world, it can be national or international trade associations or what kind of any sort of organization, they will be carrying out their operation under either national or international legal framework. Unless otherwise, they cannot proceed their organization. Of course, they can do some kind of works that the smugglers are not getting any kind of legal framework. They don't go and register to that municipality. They will never go and register into the Ministry of Health. No. But if you want to place your business legally, of course you should have this framework, national or international legal framework. When you fail to meet the legal standards, that will bring the prosecution before court, and successful prosecution will lead to fines or imprisonment. Then the story is over. Then if you are imprisoned, then what kind of company is gonna moving on? Never. So if that organization faces any enforcement notices and getting prosecution before court and getting million trillions fines, then also that the backbone lost. So under legal framework also, failure to meet the legal safety standards, of course legally they will have some standards to meet, that the workers should have these kind of standards. Once the inspection proves that they violated all these standards, they'll have to face the consequences. So without safety, unless otherwise we follow good standards of health and safety, we cannot sustain in the industry. So this is the blood and life. The safety is the part and parcel of organization. Safety is the most inevitable part of the organization. As long as that, as far as my body is concerned, how much precious these hands and arms to me, how much precious these eyes and ears to me, that much precious the safety and health to the organization. So these all are the reasons that we could say that organization should manage and maintain and promoting good standards of health and safety in the workplace. And I'll be talking about from an examination scenario point of this question. Normally this question occurs in the examination scenario, that the given scenario will have either positive or negative safety culture in the organization. And when you read out the scenario, you will start understanding, yes, the scenario is negative, or scenario is positive, or scenario is mixed, positive and negative, some positive, some negative. Okay, and if they ask you that, find out the direct cost from the scenario, then if you understand what is meant by direct cost, you can get it from the scenario. When the scenario asks that, find out and identify that the indirect cost, only then you understood the concept of indirect cost. Only then you can identify this particular point. And if you don't understand what is meant by insured loss and uninsured loss, you would never be answering it, right? So what is meant by insurance? Insurance is kind of a financial coverage for the foreseeable injuries. So when an employee is getting insured, he gets a sense of confidence. Yes, I got insured. So insured loss can be, we could insure some losses only, kind of damage to the plant and equipment, medical cost, civil cost, compensation cost. Only 4 costs can be insured. But there are 10 numbers of costs are uninsured. That production delay time, loss of raw materials, loss of reputation, and all these costs cannot be insured. Accident investigation cost, that actions from the enforcement agencies cannot be insured. Fines in the criminal court cannot be insured. So many costs are uninsured. So what I'm telling that the cost, if the scenario asked about the cost, you should understand what the scenario belongs to. And if they ask that, find out the legal compliances met by employer, yes, you come to know that, isn't it? So this is what the comprehension goes. My dear friend, I just want to tell you that you will pass NIBOSH exam. There is no doubt. There is no doubt at all. But how is the matter? How is truly matters? Since you downloaded the textbook of NIBOSH IGC and you getting the PowerPoints and you are getting wonderful class and you by hearted mug up all points, still there is no chance of passing guarantee. But I can assure you that you will pass if you understand the concept only and apply this concept with your practical common sense, and you integrate both of these with the scenario, definitely you can pass. Okay, so we'll be seeing that. I just much longing to see you in the next class. The first unit has been completed. Element 1, first unit is morals and money has been completed. Now we'll be discussing about regulating body of managing health and safety in the workplace. So regulating health and safety in the workplace. Thank you so much.